this short screen cam presents the new radar chart add-in that's available for Accelrys Draw, and can also be used from within the ELN or from pretty much any .NET code application. So I have a structure open on my draw canvas. I can click in the chemistry menu, choose generate radar chart. This UI appears and it's going to calculate some structure based properties for us. In this case it's calculated 8. It can calculate up to 12 in one go, and you can define as many calculators as you like. So there's a settings, and in that settings dialog you can choose up to 12 calculators. But this drop down list can contain as many calculators as you want to have. So you can include Cheshire scripts, you can pull in calculators from Pipeline Pilot, and there's a UI for creating those Cheshire scripts. There's also a mechanism for bringing in third-party applications, web services, database lookups using an interface and essentially a shim assembly, which allows you to interact with those other types of services very easily. So I've got one that I've already created. If I want to add a new custom calculator, having created the assembly that's doing the business, I can just click on New Custom Calculator. I browse to the assembly path that contains the calculator that I want to use, and I have that on my desktop. It's the wrong folder. It's here in release. It scans it, finds the classes that implement the interface. You could have more than one item in this drop-down list. In this case, we just have one class that implements the interface. And this is just a simple test class. Whatever mol file it gets sent, it returns a 1. And there are 3 methods that are implemented via this interface. So there's a property, one for calculating the property, so you pass that one a mol file string, and a token in case your web service needs some kind of token to work. That's assuming that you're using a web service. There's a method for polling whether the service is available, and then there's another property based method which simply returns true or false depending on whether you want your value to be cached. So the add-in has a cache at runtime. It uses the NEMA key to cache which properties have been calculated for a particular structure, and that means if you're adding and changing the structure on the draw canvas, it remembers, and if you do an undo, you don't have to wait for those sets of properties to be recalculated. I'll show you that now. So that was how you would add a new calculator in here via the custom calculator interface. And once that's done, I can click on Add Calculation, choose the calculator that I just added, specify what I want the axis name to be on the chart. So we could call this test 1, 2, 3, and we specify a range that we'd like, that's an acceptable range for this value to lie in. So I'm going to say this one is between 0 and 2. And our chart's automatically updated and included that new calculator there for us. So let's look at the recalculator as you draw type functionality. So as I was just saying, there's a cache. I can add a benzene ring there. It goes off to calculate that new structure that we've got. It's finished, and I might decide now, actually no, I don't want to have that benzene ring, so I could do an undo, do Control Z on the keyboard, and the instant update there is because that structure's been cached. I could do Control Y and put it back. You see It's pretty much instant. So that's the caching mechanism. I could of course extend that cache so that it's saved to disk. It could be a timed cache. It could be, let's say, for 30 days keep these values, and that structure wouldn't need to be calculated via web services anymore. It would just simply be in a cache that we could write out to disk and read back in. That's not done. It's an in-memory cache, so it lasts for the time that Draw's open at the moment. We can copy this chart using the copy plot, or we can copy the values. They're all calculated results there that we've got. Okay, so that's it working in Draw. We can go to this VM that I've got running and we can have a look at it working inside Symyx Notebook. So in this case I've got a materials table with some structures, and I can choose a structure of interest by selecting its row and then click on the calculate or generate radar plot. You see it's exactly the same UI. It's nice it doesn't lock up the UI thread whilst it's calculating stuff, and we have a progress bar to see that it's still doing something, because obviously if you have a large number of calculations going on, it can take a few seconds to calculate all of those. There we have our updated chart, and you see values that aren't in the accepted range get a little asterisk after them, and if you hover over you see it's a bad value. It's less than the range that we set. A log P over here is too large for the range that we set. You can adjust all those ranges. Just go into the settings and you can modify any of these things. The axis names. You can replace existing calculators with other ones from the list, and so on. So that's essentially it. If this is of interest, then please drop me a line, or if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them on the community forum. Okay, thank you for listening.